thank you for the invitation. I think I should start about some words about me and my background, then about the ECI in general and how it came into being, then about the state of play where we are now, and then also some words about the possible future, where we should aim at. So let me start by saying a few words about myself. I started engaging in politics when I was very young. I was the founder of a number of citizen initiatives, NGOs in Germany. Then we had meetings of all these initiatives on the federal level, and in the late 70s of the last century we decided to found a political party that would represent all those initiatives for the environment, for peace, for women's liberation, for many, many social and other issues in Parliament. So we founded the Green Party. And for me, one thought was very basic in that idea. I brought this in the party statute, but at the same time it had other consequences for me. And this was the idea that it's not enough to just found parties and say, you vote for us and we make everything beautiful. So just give us your voice and then we will do it for you. So my thought was we have to improve democracy in general, in the sense that more and more citizens should themselves have the right to speak out, to engage, and also to decide on the political level. So in the same year when we founded the Green Party in Germany, the foundation, first foundation was in 1978. I founded an initiative called Mehr Demokratie, More Democracy, and I always worked parallel in the two organizations. So for some times of my life, I worked more in the Green Party and in parliaments. I was member of the German parliament for 3 periods, and now I'm member of the European Parliament. And for other times, I worked more in and for the initiative. And when I worked in Parliament, I never did it consecutively. Is that the right term? So I was not in Parliament for 10 years. I was in Parliament for 4 years, then it was out of Parliament for 4 years, it was in Parliament for 4 years, was out of Parliament for 4 years, was in Parliament for 2 years, was out of Parliament for 7 years. Now I was, or am in Parliament for 5 years. So my decision was to not see this as a profession, because I think it's not good for politics and social life if you have divided worlds. You have the world of politicians, and in Brussels this is, I think, more heavy than in other places of this world. When you are a member of Parliament, all the day you meet colleagues, journalists, civil servants, lobbyists, and so on, but you do not share the life of ordinary people anymore, and you have very little contact with ordinary people in your country and in other countries. So for me, I decided I cannot do this for 10 or 20 years, because this would change my perception of life, of the world, of social questions too much. I want to do this for limited time, and then I go back and do my work in the society again on another level. So I then decided to found this organization. We were very successful in Germany. We changed Germany a lot. We introduced participatory democracy and direct democracy to all German Länder, which is the state or regional level, which has a lot of legislative powers. We did not reach our goal on the national level yet, but we will reach it very soon. This is not the topic for today. But then I helped to build organizations as More Democracy in many other countries. I was also invited as an expert by many parliaments all over the world. And I then decided to found Democracy International to work on the question of transnational and international democracy, because it's not enough to have participatory rights on the local, on the regional, on the national level. When more and more questions are decided on the inter- or transnational level, and when you do not have enough rights on the international level. So it's very important for all of us to bring democracy to an international and transnational level. And this is not only about the EU. This is also about WTO, this is about TTIP, this is about all these international and transnational organizations, bodies and treaties that more and more limit legislation in member states and also in the EU, which is or causes a huge democratic problem. So we have to engage for transnational democracy, and we have to bring the citizens at this level of lawmaking so that they are not mere spectators, but stakeholders and participants in decisions. So that was my decision 10 or 12 years ago to found Democracy International. And when we now come to the ECI, then Olga called it a real revolution. The question is, where did it come from? The idea was created within Democracy International, Mehr Demokratie. I say this because I want to tell you all these things do not fall from heaven, do not grow on trees. It's people who have to invent such instruments and have to fight for it. As democracy always has been something where people fought for, and all the rights that we have now, the rights to speak out, to participate in elections and so on, were rights that people had fought for and people have given their lives for, the rights that we have today. But democracy is never ready. You always have to engage to improve democracy. So that's what we try now. And then I decided in 2009 to run for the European elections in order to help to make legislation on the ECI and on participatory democracy in Europe on the European level, because the ECI, we could introduce the ECI to the convention. We spoke with every member of the European Convention that at that time had the task of creating a European constitution. In the end, it was the Lisbon Treaty. We managed to bring this in by convincing a huge majority of members of the convention, but then it slept for 8 years. And it was clear to us that it needed a proper regulation to do it. And I, as a member of the European Parliament, I wanted to help to make it citizen-friendly and so that it can work. So when I was member of Parliament, then it was I will not tell you about that, of more than 1 year. Then I could get rapporteurship, which then gives you, as an MEP, the possibility to formulate the Parliament's position. And I became one of the rapporteurs. It was the only issue where the European Parliament had 4 rapporteurs out of 4 big political parties or groups and from 4 different countries in the EU. And we worked together on the ECI. We changed the proposal by the Commission a lot. I want to give you only 2 examples. One example is that the Commission wanted to do the first check that now is done after the submission by the Committee of Organizers, by the 7, wanted to do this check after the collection of 300,000 signatures. And I said, oh God, how can this work? I mean, if they tell you, if you say, okay, I want to go from Brussels to Rome, and then they say, okay, start, and when you are in Paris, we'll tell you whether you can go or not. And then you are in Paris, and the Commission tells you, you have to go back and you revert, so you have to take something else on your back and then try it again. And after 300,000 people again tell you whether this was okay or not, completely crazy.